Welcome back, friends, to APAC North. We continue with FNATIC versus Spear Gaming. It's game number 3 out of 4 here in Playday number 4, the 2022 competitive season, stage number 3. That's a lot of numbers to keep in mind, but we're here to clear up the air. How do you say it in different ways? Do you have a way to say clear up the air in Hullish?
I'd say clear up the air.
Clear up the air, yeah.
Clear up the air.
In Preston, is that what they say?
Yeah.
I'm just
We're getting doxed. We're getting hella doxed.
Screw it.
Anyways.
If anybody wants Milosh's address,
Yeah. Phone in and we'll send it.
phone in. We're starting a chat show of doxing each other.
God damn it. Anyways.
You started it.
No?
You started it.
Fair enough. I didn't intend to be this way, but here we are. I did mess up. Though, FNATIC, I hope it's... Anyways, FNATIC versus Spear. Let's talk about FNATIC because they have been on the rise. Just like my blood pressure in the past 20 seconds. Jack, help me out here.
Yeah, well, I don't know where they live, Milosh, but I tell you inside of the server that FNATIC have actually been getting a lot better recently, especially overcoming that big hurdle of the attacking win rate. It might not look that good on the left-hand side of your screen, just below Mag, 50% attacking win rate, but when that was down at like 20% last stage, it's certainly improved. They're certainly looking better, and it really does look like they've turned a corner.
I think that FNATIC have often, for a long time, been waiting for this almost resurgence that everyone was expecting, weren't they? You know, when Mag came back into the roster, we were looking toward it and we were saying, what is the difference going to be? Because it's been long awaited. And slowly but surely, we are seeing that sort of come through from FNATIC. Again, there are a couple of problems, a little bit slower on those attacks. I think that's something that's going to come with time, with a bit more, time spent together, a bit more synergy. But, I mean, going up against Spear today, they should really be favourites.
Yeah, I think, Choppy and Chibi, the dynamic duo, they're looking really good. They're kind of younger front line that they've got going on and a nice amount of experience in the back line. FNATIC have got a lot of balance to this team now that I think they've been searching for.
And they have to continue on this run. Of course, things don't get easier next week. They play Sandbox, and Sandbox themselves were saying when we were just chatting with MV Taylor, like, oh, maybe they're not the toughest. No disrespect or anything, but just, to keep it in mind. So, hey, a lot of pressure on FNATIC also because they want to prove it to everybody. They have the FNATIC brand name with them. That comes with a lot of expectations, of course, some of the players that are there. However, on Spear Gaming's side, they had a good opener to the stage, beating Fav, and also who's not beating Fav right now. So can they replicate that victory against FNATIC?
I'm not too sure. I think it's going to be a bit of a difficult one.
What do they have going for them?
They don't. I mean, they don't even have the fact that they are chaotic going for them anymore. It is fairly random. I'm going to be honest with you. It's kind of difficult to understand what they are trying to do as a team because a lot of the things that we see them do just doesn't really make sense. We're seeing, a lack of fundamentals, a lack of those basics that we often look for, whether that's teamwork, drone work, their information game. It's almost a bit like that copy pasta at this point, Jack.
There's a sprinkling of Stardust in one player, and that player is going to be Mephi. It's not saying, and I know that Crazy Boy was very particular about this in the interview when they did beat Fav, we don't build our strats around Mephi, but the outcome, what we see in terms of the tangible on the external, is that whenever anything good happens for them, Mephi is at the absolute center, at the epicenter of that. So if he can get going and they can really start kind of working in, even if it's a little cheese plays that just get him a double kill, that's what they need to start trying to do.
The Mephi center of success.
I could see your eyes light up. I could see your eyes light up.
We looked at each other when you said that. We both thought Mephi center. It's got a ring to it. It's got a ring to it.
There you go. We just coined the term. I'll just put it as us. It's our term.
Yep.
There you go. Collective, very much in this case. But let's take a look at our map for this series, as our teams are pretty much set and ready in the server, and the lobby is almost set for it. There we go. We got the call. It's ready, and Spear will have the final say. They'll take out Clubhouse and take us to a theme park. All right, I'm very excited about this. I like seeing theme park. I still think there's a lot of things that people can innovate on it. Then again, I'm not an analyst, so as a dummy host, they start on the attack, FNATIC on the defense. Does this fit any scenario, Jack?
I can't find history of either of these two teams in Tier 1 playing theme park. Spear played it a little bit in the Korean Open, but in terms of preference, in terms of their banning strategy on it, Spear definitely like the map. That's why they've chosen to go there. For FNATIC, it's like and I said this with the last game, it's like the 8th preference map for FNATIC. But they are going to start defense on Theme Park in the best of 1, which is always strong.
Always a good thing to start on defense on Theme Park. You'll probably be able to correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think Theme Park's been played at all this stage.
No.
In APAC North, yeah.
So realistically, we don't know what we're going to get here. This is,
It's good.
uncharted territory. But both teams, obviously, fairly comfortable to go here. Failing that, maybe FNATIC lost the ban phase.
Big questions. Is it going to be Uncharted 1 or 2? That's always the question. Are you going to get, I haven't played the games, but are you going to get blown up by mines in the sea, or is it going to be something different?
There'll probably be a bit of explosive action, won't there?
There you go. That's what I'm looking for.
Maybe.
There's a lot of expectations on FNATIC's back in this one, and the hope is that they can meet them because of that pressure. Otherwise, you're starting to think, all these changes still haven't really gotten results out of it.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? It is the expectations of the org and the roster. You would expect FNATIC to get through, especially defense in the best of 1.
Alrighty then, gentlemen, thank you very much. Let's toss it then to our casters. We swapped them out. It's our lovely Happening. Enjoy.
Hello, it is us here bright and early and ready for action on Theme Park. And there's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of who knows, and there's a lot of we will find out.
We will find out indeed, but what we do have to mention is that we are past the halfway point of the stage now, so these two teams really need to shape up well, depending on where they want to be at the end of the year. And as we get going, quickly glancing over all the bomb sites, there's a bit of a treat to see which the rotation will be.
There's another.
There's another, yeah.
There's a couple, at least.
It's a total of 4 bomb sites.
Wow.
Times 2.
That's 8 bombs.
2. That's 8 bomb chassis.
That's a lot of bomb chassis.
Yeah, it is.
I like...
Only ever 2 active in the same round.
Now, from the lore side of this game, it's all like, training exercises, getting themselves ready. But it is funny to imagine that it's like an actual sort of live fire scenario, and they just keep being like, oh, they got these 2 bombs. Well, we've got 2 more. Should we put these in a different room and try again? Yeah, cool. Let's
I feel very sorry for the construction crew that has to rebuild everything.
Yeah, like this is all real time. Imagine, God, that's the worst. If any contractors are out there, any DIY people, if Team Rainbow, if a guy called Harry comes up to you and says, listen, we've got this contracted job, just say no.
You're going to be working.
That's so much work. Like, assuming one game a day, you got to rebuild a building almost 12 times.
Yeah, depending on how many rounds they go, Who knows? Maybe they do
huge, the biggest
12
budget,
round scrims.
The biggest budget expense from Team Rainbow as a military contractor is on plywood.
Exactly.
Hey, look.
And maybe the paint to get everything back up to the normal colors.
Valkyrie, Azami, Dokkaebi, and Thatcher. Nothing too outlandish about these bans. Obviously, Dokkaebi sort of found herself playing very well for these teams, and in the current meta, she's had a bit of a play of preference. Nook is sometimes the other swap out there, but the Thatcher as well. You're looking at a bit of heft to theme. There's some hefty places and plays, and I feel like there's almost a little bit of a return to default because, as we said, we haven't really seen this map from these 2 teams.
No, we haven't really, so it's going to be good to see, first of all, which sides these teams want to play, and there's always a bit of variation in there as well, of course. And then second of all, how it will play out. Is the defense indeed going to be favored, which we do expect, or is the attack going to be able to provide some surprises? Now, normally when we have attack pause, we do analyze what we've seen before. However, we haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah, I can't really do that.
So we cannot really do that. We could go back towards the topic that Des and Ace used, which was favorite desserts.
Yeah, what
flavors, because Des was made out to be a vanilla by Milosh.
Yeah. Milosh, I mean, I don't, that's not a conversation for broadcast. I'm based on puddings that he would like, obviously, where this conversation is. I like cheesecake.
Cheesecake's nice.
Like a New York style.
Any toppings you want on top of that?
But in cheesecake form. No, because you just have like the sugar in it, the drizzled sugar.
No fruits. Just sugar.
Baby, I'm fruit enough.
All right. I was just wondering, you want a bit extra, but
we're back in the game. We'll save your favorite through until a little bit later if we haven't had another pause halftime. We'll ask, so get thinking. Everyone at home as well. FNATIC. They're starting on defense here. Theme, defense, if we're going to cite the fact that we don't really have modern numbers for this map in this region, let alone numbers for these two teams, then as I said, I'm going to suspect it falls a little bit back towards default-esque plays. We've obviously got that in the standard set of bans that we'd see pretty commonly, but here, I'm going to think that your defense, FNATIC, is where you're going to have to try and make the most ground.
Quickly check in for last stage because it was played once at that moment in time. A 73% defensive win rate. With 6 rounds won on Armory Throne, which is by no surprise going to be the first site we are at. FNATIC looking to start this off strong. Hoping to instantly put some rounds on the board and see if they can build up some momentum. Of course, Spear needing to work on that top floor control first. Get some drones in, get that information going, open up some verticalities if you have the opportunity to, just to set yourselves up to open up the walls directly to the site properly. Ooh. There's a bit of a worry because there is roamers around on top Dragon.
Yeah, Choppy was there, sort of making a bit of a statement here. We've always got to remember where the site is, and Chibisu is going to be the first one that is getting in a confrontation. The drone just drops around the corner. Mephi gets that first connection. We talk about the importance of him as a player for this team, for this roster, and there he is. After that slightly screamed start, the drones are still getting themselves prepped up. It's a very good clear and bit of attention here, paid by Spear. They know that there's a big spread of the players, and it's not that they're entirely risking themselves for 1 versus 1s, as we see that there's drones rolling in, but look at the hold here, waiting for them to push across onto the split side of the other half, hoping they try and support around the computer end. The computer, which Royboy is getting that push in. You can see the hammer hit doesn't quite get the connection with the Nail of Ramu. He's able to get himself tucked in. Another drone, another E1D, and he's about to find another player.
You heard FNATIC say last week they were on a giant win streak and wanted to continue that through APAC North as well. Mephi now looking to go for a bit of a challenge. Drones are coming out. Ramu has been spotted. Of course, not for one of those aces last time. Will not be landing one as of yet. As Mephi shuts him down. Spear stays in charge thus of this round. But they still need to clear out the majority of that top floor directly above the barrels area. Still 2 players around, 1 in the bedroom, 1 onto the arcade stairs. It is Choppy though, that will start to fall back towards the site, so that soon is going to be 1 less player to worry about.
45 seconds and they can try and pull themselves back. You can see that Spear Gaming, they've had to go for a big claw back, and Lily finds Crazy Boy, gets 1 just on that final sprint back towards the site itself. They still have the kit. They also still have an electrified main 2 walls. The push only really open towards barrels at this moment in time. And with 30 seconds, they've really got to start trying to chug themselves in. Otherwise, it's going to be a bit of a deep drive. They find the electricity on the back wall. They're looking for the second. Can't go get the connection, but with 20 seconds, there's always a certain amount of time Cell must take to pop off. They've got the breach. Everything is being well sort of prophesized towards the defense of FNATIC. They know exactly where they need to angle their guns and ideas, but look at that, 5 seconds. Sayora gets 1 on the slip in. They missed the player inside split. They're tucked around into the box. Choppy, he doesn't quite get the win out there, and well, it's Mag on the back line. He's able to get the drop down, the C4 around the corner. It connects! Mag! A 1 versus 3 clutch in the dying throws! And what a moment to open us up.
He was just hiding right behind a throne, a room, waited for the swing to come in from barrels, finds the first, the second, and then the toss. That one was a bit scary because he saw the player walking out. At the moment he had his Nokia phone out, he's about to blow it up, but just in time. Well done. And that is round 1 on the way for FNATIC, but that did get quite close in the end there. That is not the way you'd like to lead off here. On Armory Throne, the side that has a 100% win rate over the last stage. So they need to improve slightly. Just get these last things sorted out properly.
Attackers need to locate.
And now it will be up to the top floor we go. Towards the bedroom, so you see it. That was just off contact. Sledge, no clue either. And that C4, that was just in time. Because the shots were coming his way. But a 1v3 clutch, just casually like that, you know? It's a good way to start off for Mag. Less so for Spear Gaming.
I mean, that was sort of it. I said they were last chance salooning it. There was the engagement inside split. You could see Choppy was waiting for exactly that. He knew roughly where one of the players was. He knew where the kit was going down. He wanted to sort of try and take the first engagement, win that out by the surprise fact, then likely swing onto the diffuser, because at that point you either force the diffuser carrier to stop planting, heads up, eyes locked, see if you can get the engagement, or just sort of suffer the fate, get dropped, lose the round anyway.
Now, Bunk and Daycare, the site that we're currently at, has only been won 1 time out of the 4 times it was played last stage. I know it's a very small sample size. It is going to be difficult to get some proper statistics out there, but it is something that it tells us. It is potentially one of the worst sites we might see today if that trend keeps going. So FNATIC, they need to make sure to have it under lock and key here. As the hatches quickly open up again, of course, they do not really provide any pressure really from the attack towards the defense, because all you can really do is drop down, and that usually results into death if you do not have control. So, I mean, it's there, it's an option, but more than just throwing in drones or utility pieces, not going to be much of a threat.
Now, Mephi, what can you find with the chance of grenades potentially underneath here? There's a lot of soft pockets, but with the angles open, the hatch has a power position that you can sort of respond to. It makes it a little bit tricky to get yourself comfortable in a position to start striking. So some attention has to be paid and drawn elsewhere. You can see that there's a bit being paid towards Cafe. Once again, Spear, they've gone with a slightly wider approach here. The 2 players stacked up either side of the kitchen swinging window, hoping to see if somebody decides to take a little bit too much of a strong step onto the checkered floor and suffer because of it. But the shotgun is, I was going to say, kept well at bay there. The rip of the C4 is the turn. They're holding on to each other. What's going to come through first? The burn of the flashes. The grenade's going to come up from underneath. They're looking to get rid of that warden, potentially just tucked in there, but forced off of one angle, and the grenade doesn't come behind it.
As of yet, I believe that the ADS is soon to be recharging as well, so some more safety will be found. Luckily for Spear, the first C4 already been used. There is sort of a bit of a safe way in to go for the rappel because of this double reinforced wall, so Breakroom might soon get into the hands of the attackers. There's going to be a Selma placed. The mute jammers will stop it from detonating as of yet. Ramu and Mephi will both find a kill as the nail gets traded out to 2 on 3.
Yes, not just one apiece. It's suddenly locked in. There's a shotgun around the corner. Mag brings it back to a 2 versus 2. Choppy. Oh, he's holding. He's waiting. He's striking at the right time. Pops on the other side of the train to try and deliver the train pain. But the connection doesn't quite come through. You can see Mag's got the rotate there. He's slightly closer, a great take from Mephi, and suddenly a 1 versus 1. Once again, Mag is in that last alive situation. Do they know where he is? They're going to see if they can try and bait out the plant. There's the shotgun. There's the pop, and there it is! Mag played it perfectly. There was a second of panic there, and
I don't know, he just did a bit of a shuffle, wasn't that?
just a dance.
Just a little bit of a dance.
He
some
emoted on
steps.
them.
Like playing on a dance tap, what's it called? Dance mat right there. And
Yeah.
suddenly walked out, got the shotgun kill. It's the second time in a row that he wins out on the final kill and finds FNATIC a second round on the board as well. But again, close. It keeps on getting close. And that is something you do not want to see if you're a FNATIC fan right now on that defense. But hey, as long as they get the round wins, they do get the round wins. Those eventually do count. Headed up towards initiation and office next. The other top floor site.
It is often known as that.
Yeah, it's the second, second top floor.
Factually correct as well.
I'm not telling lies here. Not catching me in
No,
those.
we're not lying.
No, we're not lying.
We ain't lying.
Usually you see a bit of a extension here towards Bunk Daycare, which we have just seen. And as you see those rotations being made as well towards the scaffolding, towards the top of yellow stairs, that basically tells you what you need to know. They are going to be extending out towards the west, but have the opportunity to quickly lock that off in case it falls as well.
Attackers are heading out to defuse a bomb.
Now, 2 rounds deep, 2 rounds in, and 2 players combined so far have a total of 10 kills, 6 in the pockets of Mags, 4 in Mephi. It's sort of a bit of a spread of a fight across it and says, or highlights how close these rounds have been, that we're having both teams have a big sort of bit of presence. Both teams are having these players dig in, but Mag has just been that difference there across the board. He's got himself now in this stress situation of how much impact can the backline player be, because you don't really want the backline player, the support, to be the one that has to take the load and take these final engagements, but at least they are stepping in as the pressure here comes across onto the side of Cafe Flores. Is often very well picked and played here. It gets you a little bit of a lead in. The tricky drone spots, the drive behind anybody that might be hanging around inside Cafe itself. They're concerned about the drone hole. They're concerned about that arcade stairs player.
Yeah, rightfully so, because it is going to be quite difficult to take control of Cafe if you cannot really get out. Because if you just look at it right now, there's basically 3 guns pointed towards that direction as Ram just swings on the window, finds Crazy Boy and takes him out. There's going to be no more air jets to be deployed, so these flanks are definitely going to be on for FNATIC. Later down in the round, if they even do get that far.
2 rounds in a row now, Ramu's been able to get that early entry kill, and we're seeing both that double boy pairing, Roy and Crazy, suffering either side of it. They haven't really been able to dig themselves in, but the Nomad, that control of the loose potential players of FNATIC, I'm curious if that's going to be something that leads back in. I think there's a disc there is. That first one will get caught out. The Wamai is in a position where he's not quite got a second to throw down. Are they suspecting it? They hop in for the fight. Chibisu and Sayora trade out. Lily gets the lock in. Mac does go down. Mephi, he's suddenly in an engagement, wins it out an arcade, flicks towards where he thinks the second might be coming from. Peppers a couple of shots, but suddenly a 2 versus 2, barely any health, and once again a massive explosive entrance here for Spear.
Wanted to go for the reinforcement there on the side of FNATIC as Roy does get locked out by the smoke canister. Gives some time for Spear Gaming to quickly get some information out. That is going to be a very well used Gemini replicator there. Knows exactly where Chibisu is going to be located, and they can start working towards isolating him. Actually, the drone hole might have actually been able to spot out those feet earlier on.
Well, they've got the kit back. They obviously took a very aggressive drop into the hatch here, and they're eyeing up their chance towards initiation. They're looking on the split, the hop over the top, and the burn of the flashes. The Buck makes sure that they're able to sprint through, swing, and get themselves a little bit of a jiggle, but they actually double think it, pull back and rotate round to the opposite side, onto the back of the vault. They're looking to get the hop round. They're looking for a wider angle, but you're looking at not a lot of time. Buck, you got to try and find this engagement. Pre-fires the angle, gets the connection. Roy Boy finds one. Choppy has to return a pocket full of seconds here. Mephi's looking for the fight, and he finds it. Spear, they finally get around just over the edge. They're first and 3.
I mean, it has been 3 very close rounds, Emmy, so finally the coin flips their side, and they're able to pick one up. And they'll be more than happy with that, considering, we've all said it, it is a very defense-sided map theme park. FNATIC starting off here is supposed to give them that advantage for the remainder of the half, meaning that Spear cannot afford many mistakes. Every round that Spear picks up here is going to be making their life a lot more easy when they do head over towards the other side. And given by how close it's been so far, I mean, we've seen a 1v3 clutch from Mac, we've seen a 1v1 eventually to come out, and this again, a 1v2. This time in favor of Spear. Really shows you that there is a lot more potential for Spear Gaming to pick up some important points here today, so, or rounds, rather, before we speak of points. I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up in a 4-2 for FNATIC or a 3-3 even split, depending on how things have been going so far.
Okay, Spear finally pushed herself over that edge. Royba gets a couple of connections. I said at the start they hadn't quite been able to have the biggest impact, and you're looking at a Buck and the impact that they can sort of have here. The holes that FNATIC are doing, there's these big pockets of soft. They're doing this full extension on the side of Throne as well. They're making sure that they sort of force a fight on the second story, which a lot of teams try and take, but usually there isn't this much put between them and it itself. But it allows that Buck to be a little bit more impactful, and I say that they've changed off this time around. The Jackal might be the Trackle here.
Of course, hoping to get some information on those roamers. Gotta make sure you don't instantly get your head removed though by Ramu, who managed to do that for the Nomad. Not quite the same role, but of course is there for flank watch. Eventually didn't hurt them too much on the side of Spear.
Double Claymore.
Double Claymore. One might get shut out, but the second one definitely not, I guess. Hope they don't use an impact grenade to get rid of it. I'll get both.
It's the classy move. Oh.
One blocks the other lasers as well, by the way.
Yeah,
just thinking of it, so you don't even know it's two until you jump in.
All right, wow. Can't quite get the pass that way around, so the drone's going to hop through the window that's already been cleared on the pressure put by Roy Boy. There's the catch on the Mozzie Pest, and They seem to be angling themselves towards the site with a little bit more pace than they did last time round. There was a fight on the second story. Dragons fallen a little into their favor. Another catch, and I think maybe another pest there. They're really limiting the approach and the stop here. It's a great bit of coordination from the side of Spear. They're making sure that the calls on this utility push are coming together, but this time FNATIC, they're not giving them anything. Look how much quicker FNATIC has peeled back at least 40 seconds earlier than they did last time, minus, obviously, Ramu, who's trying to get the third entry in a row.
That's it, right? You're in such a good turtle position. You really want to be abusing that as FNATIC do not take the fights too much to the outside. As Ramu had been stunned, fell back now towards the barrels as well. Up onto the side he goes. Not going to be locking it off, even though they do have a reinforcement. It's a bit too dangerous with someone out on those windows. And that leaves us with 5 players currently on the site. So, Spear Gaming, they need to find themselves an opening. They have one in barrels, but prefer to open one with a breach as well. And after that, they just need to start isolating these players.
I mean, you need that width. You need the sort of extra wiggle room from the pressure that you can put on the backside of Thrones. They can't just play it as a bit of a no man's land and huck over hefty bits of utility towards it back. He's paying attention as the man of the previous moment last time round, and look at this, all 10 players. If we thought the previous rounds were explosive, this one is really teeing itself up to be dynamite. As the walls still sit, we can hear the one at the bottom of yellow, I believe, getting broken open. Crazy Boy has the width from the side of barrels. Sayura's got a setup there onto split, and we've only got 15 seconds. So Roybo puts pressure onto the back end. They're swinging their way in, trying to find the fight on split. There's a almost freebie. Ramu has the cover. Chibisu gets one apiece. 3 versus 3, 5 seconds. And L, he's going to see if he can stick it. The door of split is being watched and one out by Mephi. The 2 remaining players drop. There's the C4, Spear Gaming. Just with the cover from Dragon Door, both of them ran into it, and both of them blindsided.
Both ran out with C4s in hand as well, not having a clue there was still a player out on Dragon to support them, take them down as they ran through. Well done by Spear. A good lockout. And he might have that good turtle setup, but first of all, I have to say, player inside a split, unaware of the explosion that just happened a feet behind him. That could have definitely been a game changer if he turned around, got that kill, and was back right into the breach to stop them from moving in. But besides that, Spear did it really well there. They, you know, took that top floor under control. They shepherded them back towards the side, not having to worry about any roams or flanks to come through. This is maybe the moment where FNATIC should have had someone inside Drug Lab, for example, or storage room, so you could strike them from behind. This is the second time in a row they have opened up the yellow wall, so that should tell you something.
I mean, you really have to give credit to Spear's sort of coordination here. I'm not sure, you know, without being inside their strat books, whether it's entirely a read on how FNATIC like to sort of play, whether it's this map or not, whatever they've pulled together. The way they're sort of pushing them back into the team and the way they're doing these executes, regardless of if it's there at the sort of 10-second mark or if it's a minute earlier, as we've seen in the previous rounds, it's not always been an entire sweep into their favor, but it is precise. All 5 players are moving at the same time. There doesn't really seem to be one that isn't aware that there's a 3-2-1 go count happening. Whereas, as you said, FNATIC, they're getting a little bit lost behind it because this strike of Spear is relentless.
Yeah, for sure, and that to imagine it could have been 4-0 for Spear Gaming right now if so many other rounds were able to be locked out a bit earlier or more efficiently. So again, it wouldn't be surprised if this turns into a 3-3, maybe even a 4-2 for Spear. Now there is going to be an ammo on the board on Crazy Boy. Intriguing to see how that one will be working out. That could either be from the hatch from below, from barrels potentially, or from the windows and break room. Of course, not located there as of yet, but we might develop that way later on.
Bit of breach, bit of damage done, and a little bit of attention being paid once again towards this, the power position of Ramu. They sort of played a bit of a flash game from underneath last time round, but they couldn't quite get the connection with the grenades behind it, and then Ramu was able to make a connection with the player's head, so it became a bit of an awkward push. Maybe that's why they've instead gone for this. A little bit more attention paid towards computer, focus down themselves on towards initiation. They're in a position, tight with a shotgun, that we know that they're very adept with, and they have the option to fall back if they do so please, but Spear, they're doing this same game they did before, weighing things up. Crazy Boy, what are you planning?
I think it's the hatch. In barrels, And otherwise, it is going to be the window into break. However, that might be a bit more dangerous. There is going to be some thorn devices set up there, so you might actually find yourself getting killed or at least alerting the opposing player on the other side.
I mean, I'm wondering if it might come on the back of an attempted push here onto the warden to see if they can try and get a connection. There it is. No audio, no cover. Who you're looking for, you don't find him. Ramu, once again, gets that opening body, gets that take. Mephi's able to find one in the back, but Mag with a shotgun locks in. Choppy and NL once again find a body apiece, but dropped in the midst of it. It's just NL. FNATIC, they're able to hold on to the sort of edge there on those spear gaming. Once again, went with the batten down the hatches approach here. Unfortunately, the boat has been topsy-turned. 3-2 now, with one more round to play. FNATIC, they pull back.
As the first real comfortable round that FNATIC has been able to win throughout this matchup so far. The others came down from clutches. And this was due to the fact that they locked themselves in quite well. They played it passively enough, but also aggressively enough at the same time, where they didn't give any space towards Spear and basically forced them into just... well, a Hail Mary. They needed to do something. They needed to just try and attempt a push, and that's what they went for there. Amaro going into break. They knew there was going to be these thorn traps out there, so needed to move out instantly. Could not wait for a second. Pushes you right into the crossfire of Ramu, who was waiting for it. And that is basically the pressure locked off from the complete south side. You don't need to worry about south anymore. The only place they can come from is either Cafe or the yellow stairs. And that's where all the guns of FNATIC were aimed at. So well done by them, good, well read, and quickly taking care of south, important.
Okay, FNATIC, one more swing, one more chance here on your defense to see if you can try and get a bit of breathing room, a bit of wiggle room. Spear, as you've sort of pointed out a couple times, they are in a good stead. They're in a good bout of pressure and position. They've been able to sort of cement themselves across some of these attacks, and unfortunately been so close, but then a FNATIC player just puts a paw into the lovely wet cement and leaves their mark for all eternity. So, can they make one more contribution here before they have to find themselves trying to defend against the FNATIC approach?
At least they already have those 2 rounds. Those will be more than helpful. If we look at normal percentages, of course, around the globe, now that might differentiate a little bit here, but you have to remember that Spear could have been 4-1 up right now. Looking to find a 5th round. Yes, so we'll continue repeating this until we do head over towards the next half, and maybe even continues through that. Spear is looking to try and find an entry yet again. It is FNATIC that might have just figured out how to play against this Spear by playing it slow enough where they don't really have any pick, any opening they can go for, forcing them to make mistakes.
Oh, for my money, Spear are a game that seems to try and make their own openings in life. They're very much ready to go for slightly wider splits. There is that Arcade Stairs player that actually was caught a bit earlier. Once again, Ramu, the name that's trying to find that opening engagement. He's in a stricter position. The Flores is doing business on the other side of the map as well. As a bit of destruction reigns over the approach around Dragon onto the cash room. So they get themselves a little bit more of an option, a plan B, or a plan C, or a plan D, or to be honest, 5 plans operating at once is sometimes Spear's MO.
It's very long angles though from the cash room, so they need to be very careful if someone wants to thread in there. But what Spear currently is worried about is, first of all, team flash, but that happens. It is going to be some blind repellents. It's going to be entry though. Mephi will find Mag somehow.
Here it is, the entry on their favor. They don't quite get the connection. The player jiggling around either side. Chibisu gets one, and Lily somehow escaped. Really should have been netted and fished off there. Crazy Boys looking for the split on the angle. They're not entirely sure where he's gone with a massive explosive entrance. They're able to find their route through into the opposite half. They have some attention paid towards the site, but the loose player on yellow stairs. NL finds Chibisu as well. Ramu is ready to strike. They rotated their way underneath. The pressure starting to hit against the remaining FNATIC players. The drone, Lily, he slips on by, takes a massive bit of damage, but there's one. There's a rotate. Ramu puts a little bit of damage in. Seora keeps fighting into the site itself. They found their way through inside initiation and inside everything inside the site. Ramu, he's all that's left. NL is going for the plant behind the back. The smoke could not quite hold it off. He's in a similar situation as to the first round. Post plant 3 versus 1 clutch, but this time he does not have the planter. Heads down to give themselves a little bit of the swing and the luck that was offered towards Mag. Slow and steady, Ramu, As he creeps, he's wanting a gift, but you look at the position held just round onto the left there of the door. They've got themselves on the pillar where the kit is. They're not revealing it, and, well, there's the pillar player.
I was going to say, the Scylla player just sitting in the same spot. One of the FNATIC players was in earlier. Not checking that corner. And that is going to be the 3-3. The even splits that Spear is going to be looking for and has found now. And over to the defense they go. Armory Thrones seeming to be their first sight as well, as they feel an opportunity for some good points here against FNATIC, because it is a defense side of map, and them being able to pick up 3 rounds on the attack is already huge, but it should have been more. And that means they are in control of this game, at least up until this point. Because yes, Siege is a game of 2 halves, which means that it might be completely different now in terms of the power balance. Maybe FNATIC is just going to be absolutely stomping and rolling them on the attack. It could happen. Who knows? Well, we'll know in a couple of minutes, but Spear, they have done everything they needed to do on their attack themselves. Now they just need to lock it off here on the defense. That is basically what is going on in their minds. And none of them have used a tactical timeout yet, which is also huge.
3 apiece.
3 apiece.
3 apiece. Delicious, balanced, everything in its place, as all things should be.
I know that reference, don't worry.
5 seconds left before insertion.
3 apiece, and we'll see who gets the next bite. FNATIC, you know, I think it's fair to sort of say that it's a game of 2 halves. It's a game of 2 halves, but I really love the coordination that Spear's been able to put down. It feels sharper, it feels a little bit more together, and okay, yeah, I know, they're on attack, that's the point. Defenders are trying to react to what the attack is bringing, who are reacting to structural changes more than player positions, but at the same time, I really think that's an energy that Spear have just flown very, very well. And FNATIC, they kept finding themselves in these very scrappy trade positions that Spear, even in the rounds that they lost, still often got the upper hand on.
As FNATIC now is on that attack, they need to find themselves some openings, but there is a bit of pressure coming down. Might have actually been able to hit the head there if he did go down a little bit. Or holding a very tight angle, has been spotted. Now where he's going to be at, but not a real threat as long as he's all the way in the back of the mezzanines there. It is being tossed in. Cafe seems to be a priority point here for FNATIC, but they're not quite punching through yet. They've changed the side actually, their initiation. Even though I thought it was going to be Armory first. Wow. Which of course makes sense with they have the extension here.
Yeah, it does. And Mephi, they've definitely been deadly throughout this game. They sort of commented on it early on that between them and Mag over the first 2 rounds, they'd been able to get 10 total. Now Mephi sits at 10 total, and Mag has only been able to find, I was going to say 1 more, but there's a second. Adds on, talk about them in this game, and they seem to be able to get on the back of it. This grenade, or this attempt on a grenade, maybe to clear utility here. There's a frost mat and a mute jammer that makes things a little bit tricky. And now they're still both. It rolled a bit too far.
Choppy though, that walks in, finds Mephi, is going to be able to clear out that window and its utility as well, provide some safety for his friends, Ramu, who just have jumped in. So the top slowly starting to fall west has been taken by FNATIC. Now they have direct openings towards the site. It's just that they are going to be vaulting holes, so that is something they need to be aware of. You preferably open those up as well. And that could be a very good pick for that. Or maybe Selma's onto the reinforced wall also works.
Yeah, not a jammer there, unless it was previously taken out that we didn't quite see. That wall's going to get popped open, makes things pretty tricky to sort of dig in on the half the width now that the attackers can apply towards the door, the lock-in, and also more importantly, the hop-in. You can get yourself in, have a bit of cover elsewhere, and suddenly it makes it very awkward. That's it, and L, he has to go with a wider swing, and with the pressure that's coming down onto the computer there, the hatch has been opened. They're inside the site behind the pillar, going wider and wider. They wanted to keep going, even though the kit was being planted there for just a second. Lily with a huge win out. Siora gets 1 back. You're looking at 10 seconds. Mag heads down this time. They're probably not going to swing too aggressively either side. A post-plant situation, 2 players. Only takes 1, though. FNATIC, they find their first attack.
Well done, and as they took west, it's okay, so basically this site, you can either play it very, very turtly. Like you are in a site, you do not extend westwards. This hold that they did is the usual hold we see is when they do extend towards Bunk and Daycare. But if that falls into the hands of the attackers, they have these direct lines in, and you no longer have these crossfire or cross lines of sight that you are hoping to set up, of course, by extending westwards. Normally what you see is an East approach from Top Dragon, from computers, from Cash Room, and because you have extended so far backwards, so far much more towards a daycare, yellow stairs, all that kind of stuff, you have these long angles you can use to deny them entry off the actual site without being a direct risk. So FNATIC played into that well by attacking directly from the west, and it's something I like to see. You do not see it quite often, or often enough, I have to say, that teams just, you know, go through the rough part there, because it just makes it easier once you do decide and once you do get control of it.
Spear, they sort of lent themselves in a bit tighter there against the approach. FNATIC, there was still a couple of moments where I was a little bit like, when they started planting for a second, and then the cover of the plants just kept on going, kept on swinging into a fight, which they then lost. It forced Meg to have to stop planting.
Yeah.
Those are the little things that you have to be attentive to when you're trying to piece together who is in sort of control and who is in charge of that drive, that coordination and communication. Because we know that it's a FNATIC roster that's still trying to find it. Oh, goodbye, Roy Boy. Chibisu with an early grenade take gets the Jaeger, ironically, off the board first.
It's always ironic when you see that, the Jaeger to be taken out by a grenade as the opening kill. If only he had kept a ADS in pocket, could have saved his life. But he quick entry there into the drug lab and storage room as well from Chibisu is just there to potentially lock off and shut down any rotations that might occur. And remember what I said the last time when Spear was attacking on FNATIC? FNATIC should have had someone in that area as a defender to strike them as they were going for a yellow wall opening. Now, they do have someone out there, so if Spear Gaming does have the idea of shutting them down if they do decide to go for that opening, there is going to be Chibisu to shut them down.
Imagine if Jaeger could attach an ADS to his back.
That would be funny.
It would be the opposite of how useful Wamai attaching a disc to his back would be. Oh, that's a really bold run there, and Alan, it almost pays off. Choppy gets one, Crazy Boy gets that final sprint. He went for the impact trick. I thought he would peel back. He had different ideas and got a double out of it. Lost to the third player, but suddenly FNATIC, they went from full cruise control, a fight onto the site and flooding their way through, to surprise, I am the one inside the cake and I have a gun. 2 of them left versus 3. They're going to see if they can try and steady themselves through from Barrel Room. They at least got the breach open, true, but now it's just Chibisu and Lily left on the back end to see if they can try and pull the pieces back together.
We have 2 on site, 1 still off site, so all they can really do is try and get in from barrels here. But there is going to be a bit of a sneak here. Crazy Boy bound to come around the corner with the MX4 Storm. Has to fall back. They know exactly where he's going to be at right now. Hopes to go more aggressive. Just misses the head, and the grenade lands right behind him. And it's going to be the support that comes in from Dragon. Chibisu will find him as well, however. A triple kill for him, and it's only up to Siora now with the Scorpion. It's actually quite usable again. He needs to find a double kill to lock it off with Spear here. Otherwise, FNATIC might get away with it again.
Well, now they have the reveal. They're playing this with the time they had left, and he's got to try and move into a situation. Gets the down onto one, looks for the second, and finds it, Siora!
And as I said, the Scorpion, very usable again, finds the double kill, locks it off. And Spear, they managed to stand because FNATIC, they hope to flood the site. Now, there was going to be that slight hiccup, you know, missed impact grenade, but at least you got 2 kills out of it in the end. I think you made up for it at that point. Together with the support from the MX4 Storm to find yet another. And Spear, they equalized that score.
God, that was a round of 3 acts.
It was. It was
a
really
whole. That was a whole
broken up.
Shakespearean tragedy or comedy, depending on what time and team you support.
Oh well. That means that one is locked off. They cannot go straight back down towards Throne. Didn't even see the full defense properly tested. Was an early opening. Quick breach. Followed by a rush that failed. But you know, they'll be more than happy with that on the side of Spear because they can keep that full execute or... what?
No, I need to claim that Siege Tales bundle that leaves on October 13th.
Yeah, you need to make sure you claim it. It's
I need to
actually
claim
quite
it.
good. Yeah,
It's very cute.
it's very cute. Don't know what I was saying anymore.
Sorry.
But back to it. Defense still holds for the next time they go Armory Throne. And they managed to win the round, so that's all that matters for Spear.
So, over to Bunk, over to the opposite side of the second story, and Wow, FNATIC, things slightly fell apart there on that rush because of that positioned player. Things, I mean,
It's the last position you wanted someone to be
we're
in.
back as well. It's the main position you didn't really expect anyone to be in as well. It was a gamble that I'm not even sure they knew that they were making at the time. But to be honest, sometimes that's spear gaming. I think as somebody who's watched and enjoyed this roster for a long time, there's always those moments where you go, did they mean to do that?
I mean, the wall opens up, and he realized that as well. And it's like, I might as well just stay here
Just
in the middle of
go
the
for
room,
it.
you know? Just go for it, see if I can get some, because I can see them, they cannot see me. They probably don't expect me to go back aggressive on that wall.
Located a bomb.
So, element of surprise, working out quite well for them. And FNATIC thus needing to slow it down a bit more next time. And probably in this round as well, as Cafe being contested a little bit by Chibisu. Had quite a good round last round. 3 kills coming through. I'll see a bit more of that on that Yana.
Steadying as it goes, as it seems to be on throne. It's a lot of external steady work at first. It almost has sort of played itself as a little bit of forcing positions. You've got that extension that you've got to play around Arcade. If you're looking towards Cafe, you can see that that's where that's being paid towards. You've got to pay the respects towards the jump out on barrels, or maybe even the far end on the cubby and pantry supply line. But here, with the first bit of attention being sort of ominously directed towards Crazy Boy and NL. You can see Spear is holding on. They're shuffling their feet. They're getting themselves tucked in and burning some utility to keep themselves locked there for now.
Choppy almost finding someone vertically there. Just a little bit off. Chibisu will open up. I'm on a very long angle here from Break Room, hoping to find someone passing by as NL goes quite low. Not sure how. Literally 1 HP, anything. Just the bounce of a flashbang would kill him.
This is what I talked about, the direction towards those two players, but they've moved in. Seora replaced the first body. Lily finds the fight on Arcade stairs, and they're able to at least keep the momentum behind it. Seora, though, he's looking for one more engagement. They know exactly where he is. Can he get one more before he's dropped? Can he even get himself rotated back? No, is the answer, Mephi. Certainly all that's left is Mag was able to peek one up on the far end as well. He's sort of playing this crux position. He's hoping somebody drifts out of Cafe, but you can see the drones. And unfortunately for him, the reveal of the player. The slight pulse of that is going to give him this first. He sprays and almost connects with the second. It's a rotate either side. It's a post-plant situation as well. FNATIC have got themselves very well propositioned here for this approach. They've got themselves either side of draw. They've actually even hopped further away into initiation. They know he's got a lot of land to cover.
I was going to say Mephi somehow snuck himself in between 3 players there. There's no way he was going to get out of that alive. He shows himself. It's going to be triangles suddenly right upon him there. FNATIC, they win 5-4 currently. One more round needed to find a point out of this matchup and to continue their streak to what they hope to be a season in that top 4, preferably top 2 to make it to the major. Because, of course, if you are watching NA, if you're watching EU, the top 4 makes it to the major. However, for
That's
APAC
true.
North or South, because APAC as a whole is a region that gets to send 4 teams, means that North and South both send 2.
Yeah,
And we have less play days. So everything matters more.
there is a total, including today, of 12 remaining points to be picked up.
Yes. And still enough for some of the teams to be making it to the top 2. Technically, everybody could be making it at that
The
point.
major concern for both these teams is
Bomb located by attack.
both of them still have to play Cyclops.
Yeah.
FNATIC still have to play Sandbox and Talon, but Sandbox are obviously a terrifying team on the day and one of the current top 2, if not the current top 1 actually, with their points they got earlier. Spear still have Cyclops, they've got Damwon Kia, and they've got Reject. So they've got the 2 other teams above them.
The thing is, though, right? If you want to be making it to the major, you need to be able to beat the teams that are playing.
Oh, you got to be
in
the
your own
best
region, right? So
if you want to win a major, you got to be every single team in the world. That's
yeah, sure. And I mean, that might not be the direct goal of these teams. It might be something they want to work on in long term. But I guess qualification is what they go for first. And if you look at FNATIC, if they do win this game, that pushes them up into 3rd place suddenly. That is within striking distance of making it. And that has like been 2-3 years would have tried to do so. They are super close now if they do continue this streak.
the sultry sound of a DMR slamming into a window It's the constant, as it has been for a while, and almost takes out 2 players either side. Ramu looks for the engagement against NL, who suffers once again. They are a little bit better off than they were in the previous round when they got into early engagement, but still, it turns what is any sense of sturdy towards a little bit of flimsy. Mephi, they're next. They're the player that you sort of want to survive as long as possible. They've been a big driving force. Siora alongside them as well. The two of them have really kept spear gunning and gaming against the onslaught of FNATIC. They've had a little bit more of a balanced push here. Crazy boy. He really surely feels that the Reaper is close.
Just wonder how Mephi took some damage out there, as that is from the hatch. You don't often see that. Lily taking out Crazy Boy, just looking over the edge right there, almost falling off, but he finds the kill. That's the opening. And certainly that is a giant gap in between. A Claymore kill to Roy Boy as well. Hope to go for a double jump out, because there is, of course, 2 players up on that rappel. And that truly opens things up for FNATIC here to at least secure A points.
Yeah, Royboy wanted to take a risk. We haven't seen a single jump out this game, but it's always a little bit of an expectation. It's sort of like playing Consulate. You have a fear that it's going to happen at all times, and you have to be prepared for it. And, well, they were prepared for it. A minute on now. The 5 versus 3 situation. We've seen this turn away from both teams throughout this game so far. FNATIC have to be the ones to try and cement it. And as I said, they've been a very good team at sort of a 5-player slap against the opponents. Siora and Mephi alongside NL being that slight difference maker. Can they try and just keep them rebuffed?
Here comes some of the breaches that will ease up the walking towards the side, but a head gets swallowed out, ducking right behind the pillars. So NL's going to be finding himself in a bit of a power position here. They need to clear him out if they want to go for a plant, but he will be full blind. Mephi finds one, still full blind. Mac finds NL. Now the plant goes down. The cover needs to be on point as CR strikes back.
The smoke is blocking any of the ideas and angles. A big rotate towards initiation. Mephi doesn't quite get the connection though and gets caught on his rotate back out. Siora locked inside the computer room, as we all generally are. Is looking just to try and bite his way back into the site, but this is a gauntlet of guns. He's got to try and move his way past the first. Doesn't quite get the connection. Assume they'd be lying down. They're up, and they're up. 6-4. FNATIC have guaranteed themselves a point, but they want the full 3 to leapfrog DK and find themselves fighting for 3rd place.
That is what they are looking for indeed, but a tactical timeout has been called by Spear. They need some time to talk because it is starting to slip away here from them. And now, going back to those first 2 rounds where Mag had a nice little clutch on the board, that could have been 6-4 for them right now.
Could have?
Could have been. It's not the case.
Hey, what's your favorite dessert? I said I'd get you with this.
You asked me for fruit earlier, though. You told me
I
to
said
think
dessert.
about fruit. No,
you got 20 seconds.
You actually said fruit.
Okay, well, what's your favorite fruit?
I like bananas. They are a power fruit.
Cool. Great power fruit. All right. I said I would ask you that, and I did. Okay, FNATIC. They are on the precipice of 3 points. They've guaranteed themselves at least 1, which does bring them as a points balance with DK after their loss earlier on in the day. Spear, they're sitting on the wrong end of that. The maximum they can now take is the 2 that would actually just draw them with FNATIC's current scoreboard. They'd be able to jump Talon, but they would only go from 7th to 6th. And that is a gap that is going to get wider and wider with, after this, only 9 more points potentially ahead of them. And CAG still to play, maybe cementing themselves at breaking into double digits. So, it's important. It's high pressure, high intensity, high value.
Yeah, and especially if you look at how much in control they were for the majority of that first half. They've kind of just fallen off as soon as they went over to the defense. Kind of proving the point that it seems like attack has been favored today here on Theme Park. And of course, for now, we do have the extra attacking rounds in, but FNATIC looking to expand on that. If they find 1 more, it's going to be a full 3-pointer. And that will keep their dream of making it to the major very realistically alive. Because 3rd place, that is not bad. And of course, you know, you don't longer qualify for playoffs. It's just a direct invite for the top 2. But you stay within range, and that is most important. And then if you find any of those top teams on an off day and you just have the best days of your life, or maybe you're just better overall, you find yourselves going to the November Major.
This could be the best days of your life. I don't know what that's from. I think that's like an old advert from the 90s.
I was going to say, I don't know this reference.
No.
So I'm sorry if I, again, broke the law.
Easy just said whispered something in my ear.
Yeah, I don't know what he said.
He got goosebumps. Oh, okay. Thank you. All right, FNATIC. What can you do here? The pressure is obviously more intense on the side of Spear, but it's always that awkward situation where sometimes if you're so close, that's when you're at the most pressure. And sometimes some teams operate very, very well. We're on the back foot here. Spear has been one of those teams that's somehow been able to thread things together. They're still missing that sort of five-barreled approach that they're able to have on their attacks here. I think the drive was a drive for those players that haven't quite been able to get the full connection with the gun game that otherwise has been a little bit more even-handed from the side of FNATIC. I think some of the intel has been a little bit sloppier from their side, but they're sitting there on match point. So we always have to remember that at the core of this, it's an FPS.
It is. If you manage to kill all players, you will win that round. You do not even need to play the objective, but, you know, it's always, of course, centered around the site itself. That grenade could have killed him there. Tiopi goes down. Shura wants to go. Oh, that's a Frostmat. That is very unfortunate to lose a player like that. The doesn't know the Nook, though.
Oh, they see the camera get caught out, and it's still Ramu able to get the strike.
Double kill!
Ramu over the top, takes Mephi's head off as well. The camera being dropped. I mean, it was a very big risk because that reveals that there's a player there, and they just kept moving behind it and got lucky that they were a bit tighter than expected. The second stack up was the cherry on the top of the cake, but you can see now it's a line of guns from the side here of Spear Gaming. They've lost those two huge fraggers that have otherwise been able to fight them through most of these rounds. It's down for the time for these three to show up, show them what they can do. The rotation underneath from Ramu still has both grenades. Might see if they can try and potentially open up an angle, draw some attention. Oh, the steady creep and clear here over the top of... Oh, there's a freebie! Ramu catches Crazy Boy!
Oh, doesn't spot out the next one, though. Royboy will try and respond soon, though. 45 seconds on the clock. Mag, who's been having an incredible game so far, is going to get that diffuser down. The pressure comes in from the top of yellow, but Royboy gives his position away. Just swings out at the worst possible timing. This could be the end of it. It's only up to him now in a 1v3 situation. Can he shut it down? Can he put a 1v3 clutch on the board himself? That is the big question if they want to stay alive for points here.
I mean, it's so awkward to try and fight your way back in here. It's literally a wall of walls. They have the angle, gets one on the pre-fire and doesn't stop firing, hoping to get the second swung in. It was a good idea, but you can see FNATIC aren't playing around. They take the full 3 points, 7-4, and it looked a bit dicey for the first 8 or so rounds, and since then, FNATIC found their pace.
Yeah, well done by FNATIC. They set themselves in third place, at least for now. And they will continue their streak in APAC North that they will be more than happy to keep up with here. And I have to say, Mag had an incredible game, especially the first 2 rounds. Important, clutching them out. 13 kills overall. I think he's very happy with that result.
I mean, for everything that we can sort of say about how there were moments where FNATIC seemed a little bit decisive, one thing was, or indecisive, one thing wasn't, and that was Mag playing the plant. 4 plants over the 5 rounds that they won, a constant drive by him onto that objective. It was something FNATIC had been missing for a while. Well, we'll have another quick break before we're back with the desk to break it down.